2-minute promo. Most often people come to see you for a problem. Now, they're driven by fear or concern or angst or pain or dysfunction at some level. And the problem is often very limited. They just see it in a small context because it came on yesterday and it should be gone, therefore, by tomorrow. And so that changes their expectations and modifies it down to a short-term phenomena. So nothing has anything to do with anything else. They don't see relationships. And when the problem goes, obviously, they go. Unless they get one critical distinction. Let's have a look at that. Churchill once stated that if we don't learn from our history, we're deemed to repeat it. And this is so true to your practice members who come in to see you as a new person, and their expectations play out according to their history. And if they haven't examined their history, then they have this high likelihood of repeating the same patterns. Because people come to you for a problem. And to them, it's the problem. It's the only thing right now. This is a thing that the chiropractor fixes, And within that, then they have the drivers. They have the drivers of fear that it's going to get worse, and angst that they can't do what they want to do, and the pain of the thing itself, possibly, or the dysfunction of the thing itself. And the problem in this context is very, very limited. So, and because it only just arrived yesterday, for example, it should be gone tomorrow. Now, because it's only been there for a week or a month, it should be gone in a week or a month. It should be all done and dusted, the transaction's complete, and nothing has anything to do with anything else. Therefore, there's not an interrelationship in their mind between what's going on and their life. And so when the problem goes, they go. Unless they get one critical point. I wanted to address that here today, and that you have the opportunity here to take them on a journey. And this journey starts by finding out where they've come from. It's about discovering their past, because they must be aware of their past and how it affects now and the future. Because, today, right now, is just one element of their journey. Their journey has built up over time, and in the context of their bodies, they've received micro trauma from many different forms, and over this time, and that forms their perspective and their behaviours and their events, and probably the presenting complaint that they're coming in with right now. So if we can do that, then we can then join them, or they can join us in a different narrative. So this narrative is introduced the minute that they arrive, and it's really important here that we reframe their previous notions about what healthcare is and what, particularly about what chiropractic is, and we work with them in a different context. We create an interruption to their patterns, their normal behaviours, and we ask questions of them that are like throw them into a spin. So this narrative then is introduced as soon as they arrive, and we have a document within this that is a repositioning statement that we call your history form. So I'll give you an example of this. So, like, we started working with Simon. Now, he was a chiropractor, and he wanted to increase his practice member follow through because it wasn't good. The PVA, the person visit average, was low, and because people would come in, and he took great notes. He went very thoroughly through the presenting complaints, and he did a great regional exam, and he was skilled as a clinician. And to help as much as he could, he obviously wanted to do whatever was possible. So he adjusted them on the first visit, and this gave great satisfaction to his people. The people say, oh, this is amazing. I had this going on and I came in and I got, Simon did this thing to me and now I'm feeling great. And so they thanked him and they didn't come back. And as a typical, I mean, obviously some did, but he was. This was the pattern that they weren't coming back until they had the problem again. And so we worked with them on this one and said, look, let's just shift one thing. And so we shifted the exploration of the person's history. We looked at it from a position of, well, these people are putting you into the same boat as any other practitioner around that is there to treat people's symptoms and get them feeling better. And so let's have a look at it from a different position. So shifting the exploration of the person's history was pivotal. We call this a discovery frame, and it begins with this history process. So people saw that their past then was created or has created where they are now, and their future will depend on unpacking the past, and that was the key. So from that then, and as Simon introduced that, then so much stress was taken off him because he was now happy that people understood that this is a journey, it's not an event. And so I thought, well, let's outline the structure that we use in this context. And this may help you in making some distinctions within your practice members. So let's have a look at the first year's model here that we call the journey. And it recognizes the fact that when a person comes in, say at this level here, and seeking out relief and seeking out a solution for their problems, that they want to get above the line. They want to get out of the symptom picture, and they want to get into something that is easy again. They want to be like they were before this thing happened. And so this area here, this interface here, is a therapeutically driven phenomena, which is quite common in this thing we call healthcare at this point in time. It's certainly not about being healthy and amazing, and hopefully it prevents people from degenerating and ending up way below the line and in a really bad state. So, it's an honourable position. However, it's not complete, and it won't be complete as long as the person is not recognising where they've come from. So the rationale for moving up in this direction has to come from an understanding of the dynamics that have taken place in this direction as they went through a process of degenerating, with an interplay between the stressors and their resistance. So this is the journey model that we must, when a person comes in at a need for relief, we must reconnect them with their journey to this point. So I wanted to look at that here then in this context, that let's take the four components, which represent the four components of the brain as well. But this is the model that we use within Quest to observe and work with and enhance practices. So there's four components. There's a right frontal brain, which is the attract. There's a left basilar, which is nurture. There's a right basilar, which is deliver, and there's a left frontal, which is expand. And so when we're looking at bringing about some changes here, we're looking at giving people an opportunity to look forward and assess what the outcomes are. So people must have a big idea about where they want to go. If it's and the big idea for some people is just to get out of pain. But there's always a bigger idea outside of that. There's a bigger idea beyond that. And that's something that we must push for. We must find out, what are the outcomes? What is it that you're looking for? What would you love to be able to do? Now, for many people, they've lost sight of that dream. And if you can enhance that, bring it back in and get them to associate it with it, that gives them a driver. That inspires them. Getting clear on an outcome causes a person to get some spizz back into their life, to get some hope for the future. And so bringing this into context so that we can see, or the person can see, and we can be part of that, as to where they want to go. What is it that they would love to do? Now, the next component of that then is to go into the past. And so we have a future orientation over here on the right brain, have a past orientation of our history on the left brain. And the past then is a series of things that we've done, right? And they're the patterns of the past. And to unpack this and to see the lineal patterns that a person's had, for them to see it and for them to get it, then they can start to see how certain things have been occurring throughout lifetime. They've been doing, relief situations to cope with them. It could be, I've always had headaches, but I just take a pill and the headache seems to disappear. And there's a repeating pattern there that if they understand that, then it's like, yeah, well, maybe I need to do something different. There comes a time when they have a cognition. So those past patterns have to be unveiled and have to be exposed. Now, the next area here is when a person has what might be called a light bulb moment. So there's a moment of reality where in terms of demonstration, we can connect with the past. We can connect with their history and their journey and they get to realize that, hey, this is something that I'm now not going to do. This is something that I need to actually take something into my own hands and do something different. And that may well be your care. That may well be, yep, it's time for me to do it in a different way. I'm sick of what I've been doing in the past, I want to do something to take me into my future, because I now realize that there's a lot more in terms of the outcomes that I can have to take me forward. So that's the internal discussion that the person would have, or maybe even the external discussion that they can have. Now, within that then, they're going to say, okay, well, this is really cool. I understand this, how the brain-spine nervous system can affect my function, and it can affect the problem that I came in with, but a lot more. I have lots of potential here that I can now start to express. And so they're going to start to look at what else is possible. What else can I do? How can I expand? How can I do more with my life? And so this is a really exciting stage that people get to. It's like, well, what else? Well, maybe I should bring my family in, well, what else? Well, maybe then I could start to take on different tasks or exercises or programs, or maybe shift my career. There's a whole bunch of things that start to come up for a person when they realize that they have some power to do something about the past patterns that will take them closer to their outcomes. So that's the name of the game. I mean, that's just a very quick little thumbnail of how we work with people. And this is obviously, there's all sorts of things to unpack in each one of these quadrants, which is the whole process of Quest procedures for lifetime care. We're not concerned about that right now. What I just want to give you the opportunity to realize that you touch these spaces in sequence, and it opens up all sorts of benefits for you and your practice members. So you'll move them from coming in for a problem to staying for a lifestyle. And it is a lot simpler than it might seem. People will stay and they'll go for greater changes. So they'll be proactive in their care. Your PVA is going to go up, your collections will increase, and you'll be less frustrated and more happy, more fulfilled. So, it's a really cool proposition, and it works. And look, if you want to increase the stick rate of your practice members, just PM me and we can do a clarity session and create a plan for your practice to move you to the next level. And when we meet up at the clarity session too, I'll give you your history process so that you can experience the shift it brings to you and your practice members. So have fun with it, consider it. I'm Mark Postles. Catch you soon.